My name's Peter Cant. Thank you for inviting me to Sundance. 21 minutes. 21 minutes is a long time. I told the curators of this festival that my performance would be between 7 and 21 minutes. And they put it to the program 21 minutes. I think I've only made about 18. Anyway, I like 21 because it's a multiple of 7. And for this piece, I've been thinking a lot about what you can do in 7 minutes. When I was preparing to come here, my friend Jeff told me that 7 minutes is the time it takes to smoke a cigarette. Jeff works in German theatre, so he knows very well the virtuosic possibilities of a cigarette. Eleanor, would you care for a light? Vivas, are you ready with the stopwatch? Yeah. Okay, start the clock. I'm going to take 4 minutes to tell you about my friend Marcin Stanczek. He's Polish, 37 years old, taller than me, handsome, a ladies' man. He lives in the city of Łódź, famous for its film festival, and for being completely grey. Marcin drew my attention to it one day. We were walking through the streets of Łódź and he pointed at the wall, so happy. "Pete," he said, "isn't it amazing? So many shades of grey." His flat had no pictures in it at all. The view from his balcony was of an old brothel with the roof caved in, also grey. Marcin Stanczek is a composer. We met in 2010 on an opera writing residency. We created a number of experimental pieces together, always somehow remotely. In August 2011, aggravated by our separation, I sent him an email. "Marcin, I would like to make a remote piece with you that I can perform or facilitate, which would not require your presence or involvement beyond the moment of conception. I do not know what this piece is. Perhaps it's a piece that requires no players. A piece that requires no instruments, no sheet music, no music stands. It should be performable anywhere, and it will require an audience, as little as one person. It should not be time-consuming for you because you're busy in Paris. That's why I asked you simply for an idea. I speculated on the nature of the piece. Would there be a score of some kind? Would it exist, or would it repeat? Would it be short or long? Could it be something I can make happen? Can I describe it? Can I pass it on to others? Is it words, movement, a gesture, an object? Is it a combination of those things? For me, I wrote it's an idea of music that is already somewhere else even when it's arriving. It's in continual flight between minds and between places. It doesn't exist in a single place or mind because if it stopped moving, it would cease to be like money, like capital. No reply from Marcin. Maybe I was too vague in the last email. Marcin, the idea is this. I describe in some way to an audience a piece of music by you that has not been written, which is in some way impossible and could only exist in a description. 4 years later, in February 2015, he emails me, can I help him with the translation of his new piece? It's an invitation, a score. The score reads as follows. I'd like to invite you to the world premiere of my new piece, Possible Music 1, duration 7 minutes. The premiere will take place on Thursday, the 23rd of April, 2015 at noon, Warsaw time. Score. You are the performer and the audience of this piece. You are not expected to be physically present at the concert hall at the time of the premiere. You perform the piece wherever you are. Your task as a performer is to imagine my piece, to hear it in your imagination. All the performers should be prepared. I kindly recommend you listen to my music in advance in order to best prepare for the premiere and to leave the authorship of the piece in no doubt. It is intentional that I'm not giving you any further tips regarding the performance. It's all about you and your imagination of my music. Don't be shy. Let yourself take part in this premiere. If you cannot attend, if you're busy or it's simply not possible for you at this time, don't worry. Consider trying it when you're ready. I'd be very grateful if you as an audience would share your impressions about this work with me. I'm open to warm words or constructive criticism regarding the piece itself or its performance, although leaving comments is not obligatory. You can also just keep the piece in your imagination. I count on your participation in its premiere. My hope, friends, colleagues, students, and others who will receive this score in different ways is that we will all fit into this unique concert hall, Marcin Stanczek.
5.
In Dostoevsky's The Idiot, the protagonist recalls a friend's story. This man had once been brought to the scaffold in company with several others, and had had the sentence of death by shooting passed upon him for some political crime. 20 minutes later, he'd been reprieved and some other punishment substituted, but the interval between the two sentences, 20 minutes, or at least a quarter of an hour, had passed in the certainty that within a few minutes he must die. He said that those 5 minutes seemed to him to be a most interminable period, an enormous wealth of time. He seemed to be living in these minutes, so many lives, that there was no need as yet to think of that last moment. So he made several arrangements, dividing up the time into portions. One for saying farewell to his companions, 2 minutes for that. Then a couple more for thinking over his own life, and all about himself.
6.
And another minute for a last look around. Can somebody else here play the piano? Yeah. Can you come over? Do you know any Bach? What do you fancy playing?
Seven.
At first I tried to fight against Martin's piece. Then I relented, and I tried to imagine the piece. This was a month ago. In the same week that Martin announces his possible music, Andreas Lubitz flies Germanwings Flight 9525 into the Alps, killing 150 people. Possible music. Whenever I'm thinking of possible music that week, I'm imagining it starts with the final 7 minutes of the aeroplane's descent. I imagine the plane crashing, the sound of an Airbus A320 shattering into a million pieces, followed by the cries of millions of Western children weeping openly on YouTube by the worldwide media broadcast of Zayn Malik's shock departure from One Direction the next day. And collectively, the world tries to imagine One Direction without Zayn Malik, but we can't do it.
Eight. Nine.
Would you mind continuing the vocal fry? Thank you. So 2 days ago, on Thursday, the day of the premiere of Possible Music in Warsaw, Martin sent me a photograph of the red boxes that he intends to place in different buildings around the city of Łódź. Next to each stack of scores, he placed this red box, a kind of letterbox to post your feedback or response to his music, the thing that you imagined. The day of the premiere, I'm flying to Athens. It's noon, I'm in the plane, and I'm in the air thinking of those 7 minutes, trying to imagine. And all I can think of is the black boxes, not the red boxes, the flight recorders, which are actually orange. And the black box was recovered from the crash site, and its recordings were studied. We heard cries of "My God" in several languages. We also hear at least 3 times metallic blows, which leads us to think that the pilot tried to open the cockpit door with a heavy object. Towards the end, the screams became louder. Thank you, Elena. Here's a cup. If you could just make a small motion underneath it. Keep it constant. That's great.
11.
Remote, because far removed. Only remotely considered a piece. Being remoted, being withdrawn. I cannot think of it definitely as a piece, but perhaps distantly as one. It appears to lack the properties of a piece, having no distinct qualities, which is contradicted in turn by the frame around it, which attests to its being or potential to become a piece. Perhaps we could say that the piece has been carried off somehow far into the desert, perceptible now in vague forms, leaving a kind of residue, a distortion between impenetrable waves of heat and dust. It's midday, the hour of Pan. Hot sun scorns the dry ground and the animals start to hallucinate. You are the performer, and you are the audience. You are not expected to be physically present at the concert hall. Your task is to imagine. Imagine my piece. Hear it. Listen to my piece. The authorship of this piece is in no doubt. I'm coming up. I'm coming up. It is intentional. It is all about you. Listen to my piece. Fit into my red box. My warm red box. Listen to my piece. Imagine my piece. Fit in. Imagine. It's intentional. Imagination. Participation. Fit into my box. My warm
13.
things I imagined for this piece. It was very difficult actually, having an impossible piece, an imaginary piece. I really confused myself a lot trying to make this. And but I had lots of ideas. I wanted Phil and Fios to be on stage with me, and one idea was that a giant piece of cheese would come down really slowly like this, and Phil and Fios would come on dressed as mice, and I would also have a mouse costume, and we'd sit around the cheese and we'd just start to eat it. But of course you need a real piece of cheese to eat it, you know? You couldn't just put real cheese on the edge of a proper cheese, or it was too confusing. And then I wanted onions, you know, chromomancy, where you ask the onion the question, and if it grows, the yes onion grows, then it answers your question. So I was like, is this my piece? You know, I should ask 2 onions, one yes, one no. Like, am I making my own piece, or am I making much?
14.
What happens at 14? Oh, okay. Can you share some? Can you share some out as well? Can you share some? Can you share some? Could you share some? And then, so the way to do it is like I showed you. So just continual sound. Just keep it nice, small motion. We want it quiet, not loud. It has to be very. And just keep it moving between your hands. Allow the air inside it. Space in it, and just none of this, no throwing it. Just gentle, okay? Let's try and get it even. Slower. gentle motion, theatrical motion.
15.
15. Fuck. In The Secret Miracle, a short story by Borges, a condemned man tries to imagine all the horrific ways in which his execution could be performed, because he observes that things so rarely ever play out as he imagined them. If he can imagine the worst, it won't come to pass. And I've spent the last month imagining what I would perform here at this festival, and I've done nothing but imagine, and each time I've dreamt, I've discarded, knowing it will not come to pass like that. Those 7 minutes, ironically authored by Marcin Stanchek, how could I present them here as my own? I wanted to be the performer in 2011, not the author. My hope, my peace, share me, I'm open to warm media, writing on my back, listen to my music, fit into my peace, imagination, participation. Don't be shy. I'm open. Whenever you are ready, not giving you any tips. I'm grateful when it's present. I'm not giving you any intentional authorship. Share your music, share your website. Do it. It's easy. Don't worry. Imagine my piece. Fit into my box. Fit into my box.
17.
So, to explain the end, we're on 17 minutes. If you noticed earlier, Eleanor was smoking a cigarette. I had this idea of 7 minutes. She smoked 4 minutes worth of cigarette. When we hit 18, we've got until 21, so she's going to smoke the last 3 minutes of the cigarette. In those 3 minutes, I would really like to, in the same way that in the story of Dostoevsky, he portions up how to use his own 3 minutes. So I'm really opening the floor for the last 3 minutes because I can only make 18 for you to decide what you want to do with each of those minutes. So
18.
Okay. I'll try the chair. I'm in the chair.
19.
I'm not in the chair. I'm in the chair. I'm not in the chair. I'm in this space. I'm not in this space. Anyone can take the space.
20. Twenty-one.